My name is Fiona Murphy and I want to talk about journal data policies. You have likely noticed that more and more journals are developing data policies that need to be adhered to in order for your articles to qualify for publication. This can be off-putting, particularly for early career researchers, so I'd like to demystify the situation and hopefully provide some useful advice on how to navigate these policies. So, firstly, the why. And it's important to remember that this isn't simply to make life more difficult for you, although I know it can feel like that. Funders have increasingly been developing data sharing policies in the interest of better tracking their funded outputs and ensuring the availability of these to the public. And that's, of course, particularly important for national funders. This is also about improving scientific reproducibility, transparency, and provenance. So then publishers are responding to these high-level directional signals, as well as to learned societies and editors-in-chief who are requiring frameworks that reflect emerging standards and communities of practice. And in recent years, the background to this is that there have been several high-profile scientific scandals caused by unethical data practices, which have resulted in damaging publicity to journals and to their scientific communities. So funders, learned societies and journal publishers have all spent considerable time working on these policies and have often sought community feedback on how to balance author protections and best practices with potentially increased researcher burdens. And as a result, what started off as a very piecemeal ad hoc situation is becoming more standardised, which will hopefully improve the workings of the system over time. So the biggest push in this direction has come from within the Research Data Alliance, which is a global organisation that's free for individuals to join and which works to improve understanding, uses, preservation of research data across the globe. The Research Data Policy Implementation and Standardisation Interest Group, a bit of a mouthful, has produced a data policy framework that seeks to provide all journals and publishers with the support and information that they require to formulate, implement and, as appropriate, enforce journal data policies. So it's to be hoped that this work will enable some standard terms and standards to start emerging as a result. In the meantime, what can you do as an individual or as a small group that's seeking to publish your research article? So some tips. Do some thinking and research on journal data policies well before you reach the point of actual submission. This may even help you with working on how to collect and curate your data. So what is the language that's being used in the policy? Does the journal prefer for data to be used, or is it a requirement? Are there any issues that may require reaching out to editorial staff beforehand? This may apply if you are reusing others' data, if you're operating under an embargo, or if you're handling sensitive data that may need to be kept private, either temporarily or permanently. And are there any apparent contradictions between the journal's policy and those of your funder or your institution? And if so, is there someone that you can confer with if required? Are there any specific repositories or other services that your community, institution, funder or chosen journal are encouraging you to use? There may be lists of approved facilities, for instance. Are you clear about what data you need to share and how to do it? Do you need to include code? Have you factored in any costs either for wrangling the data itself or to upload data into a repository? If you're not clear how to act, it is perfectly legitimate to ask for more information from the editor-in-chief or the managing editor of the journal, or from institutional librarians or research support managers. Remember that data policies are an emerging and evolving part of the research communication system, so the policies themselves may well need to be further clarified or updated over time. So finally, although this process is likely to be time-consuming, its rationale lies in strengthening the scholarly record over time. So the earlier you are in your career, then hopefully the more you will personally benefit. Your own research outputs, such as data sets and software, may have impact in their own right, and your research is going to be more reproducible and therefore more trustworthy, and in the future, as this practice matures, new uses will arise and new questions can be asked of an interlinked digital knowledge canon.